My hair's a mess, my life's a mess, and I don't care. Hi, my name is Storm. I am 17 years old, and I am 1 year on testosterone. Alright, so today's video is going to be about being 1 year on testosterone and what they don't tell you about being on testosterone. So I started testosterone on July 11th, 2017, when I was 16 years old, and I started on an eighth of a milliliter. Not a milliliter, yeah, of a milliliter of, whatever. I can't, exact dosage, that's not me. Okay, so I started on that dose, and first thing you notice on tea, if you're like me, I'm not necessarily sure if this is the same for everyone, but here's the first thing I didn't expect, was that I saw something within the first week, and your little peen, you know what I'm talking about, better know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to clarify, sorry, your peen grows significantly within the first week, which is crazy, because it's like, didn't think that would happen so fast, but it did. And since we're already talking about the area, I'm going to also say that you don't really stop bleeding until about like 4, 5, 6 months on T. So I was still continuing to have my period through the early months, which is something that I wasn't really told. I just knew you do stop, but not when exactly. So it does take a bit. I was never told that while on testosterone, even as far in as now, I still get misgendered. Like, I was called, like, the day I got 1 year on T, because it's actually like 3 days after the fact, but the day I turned 1 year on T, I was misgendered in front of like a lot of people at work, when I was at the doctor's office, when I went to go pick up my prescription for testosterone, again, because it's a scheduled, again, that in a second, but when I went to go pick it up at the pharmacy, they still called me she, so that was ugly. Okay, the next thing is that when you do get the prescription, you're not gonna just go to the endocrinologist one and done. Like, obviously not, because your dosage has to change. And so, every 3 months or so, you have to get your blood drawn and get blood work done and get your prescription, and so you can adjust your dosage to your body, as well as slowly work up to a higher dosage in which changes will occur faster. I think it was around 6 months on T that I was finally on the dosage that I currently am on. So it does take a little bit, but it will happen. Being on testosterone for a year, this is like all very aimed towards what I experienced, so I'm gonna just say that that will not necessarily be the case for anyone else. But being on testosterone for a year has made me more secure in my masculinity. Like, when I first started T, I was trying very hard to pass because I had no advantages on my side. I still had a very girly voice. I still had a very, like, narrow jaw. I still had very feminine features, and I still do, but, like, not to the extent that I used to have. So I would bind, I would wear very baggy clothing. I still do like the baggy clothing, but like not necessarily while I'm binding. Like, I would bind and wear baggy clothing at the same time. You would never catch me without my binder on. And if I did have my binder off because I was taking a break, I would always wear a sweatshirt. So you would never not see me in baggy clothes, so that I could minimize the appearance of my chest. But because of that, I just realized this angle is very high. So because of that, my appearance made me feel that a lot shorter and stouter and like bigger around my body, and it didn't fit very well, and I was very insecure about everything. But I'm sorry, that went on a little tangent. The point is, I've become more secure in my masculinity, and now I'm not afraid to do things that I used to be afraid to do. Like, I painted my nails like a week ago, or I'm very, very, like, when I joke around, I get into the feminine voice, like, oh, honey, like, you get it. Like, I'm not afraid to be feminine. It's just the fact that I don't usually do feminine things in the first place. So that getting on testosterone also caused a lot of weight gain for me. That might also just be my terrible eating habits, but when I got on testosterone, before I was around 140 pounds, and I've gained 20 pounds since then, and it's become very unhealthy for me. But I'm not going to blame testosterone. That's also, like, personal. Like, I need to work out, especially now that I'm on T. I need to eat better, especially now that I'm on T, because when you get on testosterone, like, I don't know how often it's said, but when you get on testosterone, your risk of cardiovascular diseases and heart disease and stuff like that, it increases because your blood does become thicker, but it doesn't increase to a extreme amount. It just goes towards a cis man's risk instead of just your risk before. But that's higher for me because my family has a history of heart disease and heart attack. So when you go on testosterone, you gain a lot of weight in your stomach area, and that's something I've noticed. I've also noticed how much hairier I've gotten. So it's kind of gross. I've been getting hair places where I didn't even think I would get hair. Like, I've gotten hair on my shoulders, which it's not a lot. It's like 3 hairs, but, like, there's hair on my shoulders now. And a lot of my facial hair is growing in on the bottom of my neck first instead of up here, so that's fun. My thighs have also gotten hairy, which they weren't before. Like, they were soft baby thighs. Now they're, like, hairy. Yeah. And my hairline. Another thing I haven't mentioned, but I noticed is my hairline has become more masculine. Can't really see it the way my hair is, but, like, it's definitely receded back here and over here. This isn't a bald spot, by the way. I've got, like, really light hair over here, like blonde patch. It's not a bald spot, but yeah, I do have a bit of hairline recession right here. So that's changed. Facial hair takes a long time. It took about, I want to say 8 months for it to actually start to be real facial hair and not just like a baby pedo stash or something. Like, it was a long time, and I don't even grow mine out. Like, you can't really see it. Like, you can see a little bit, but, like, not really. Another thing that's changed that involves the face, kind of. My skin, I can tell, is a little bit more oily, but it wasn't not oily before. I had oily skin. I still do have oily skin. But my acne, like, I'm going to be honest. If I did care about my face and did wash my face more than I do, I wouldn't have acne. But the acne I do have is not mostly centered around my face. Like, I've got some on my neck, and that's fine. Like, I don't really care. But I've been getting shoulder acne and back acne. And that's just something that happens when you go on testosterone and have new hormones going through your body. So, yeah, those are the things I didn't really think about or didn't expect to happen when I got on testosterone or when I'd be 1 year. I thought after 1 year I would be fine, everything would be perfect. But I still have parts of my body that I'm not comfortable with, but I am more comfortable with other parts of myself. And when you've been trans and known you're trans and got to explore your gender as far as I have, you kind of come across different parts of yourself. Okay, let me explain that better. Okay, so being going through my transition and coming to this point, I have learned things about myself that I probably wouldn't have learned until very further on in life had I not started T when I did. I'm not saying T changed me. I'm saying T allowed me to get comfortable with myself enough to discover this parts of myself. So, for instance, when I went to Spain There is something hanging off my face. When I went to Spain, I became a lot more comfortable with myself, mainly because in Spain, their view on gender identity is kind of a little different than in rural America. I went to Spain and it was the urban areas, so they were a lot more used to transgender individuals. And so every time I went in public, even though I was obviously trying to pass, I didn't have to try as hard, and the wait staff tended to notice that I was a guy. And that's happened a lot more in other countries than it has here. So here, um, even if I'm wearing the same thing I would have been wearing in Spain, if I looked the same as I did in Spain, I would still be gendered the other way because they'd see me and be like, oh, that's obviously a woman, instead of taking into account the fact that I was presenting masculine. You understand? Um, so being able to pass easily in Spain allowed me to be more comfortable and not have to worry too much about, oh, this, I can't do this because then I won't be perceived as masculine. So having that kind of stress alleviated allowed me to look at myself on a level that most cis people can, on like an even playing field, I guess. And being able to do that without worrying about any of those societal pressures about looking masculine made me come to terms with a few things, one of which being my sexuality. See, being on T made me comfortable in who I was as a guy and allowed me to not have to worry about someone not liking me because I'm trans, which is a huge pressure for the transgender community. And the main reason I was identifying as bisexual before was because I was afraid that if I didn't have all people available to me to date, that I would not ever find someone. If I limited my options, I would probably never find the person, which, if you think about it, doesn't make sense, because why would I enter into a relationship with someone that I don't feel attraction to just because they felt attraction to me, which is exactly what I've been doing in the past, and why a lot of my relationships have been pretty terrible and not lasted very long, because I wasn't feeling genuine feelings for them. I just liked the fact that they liked me. Basically, being recognized as a man allowed me to really accept the fact that I'm not attracted to women. And I had been thinking that I had to be, because it had been something I had identified as since I was younger, because I didn't understand that I was trans and attracted to men. Because I always knew I wasn't a straight woman, which obviously, but like, I was attracted to guys, but I didn't want to be attracted to guys as a girl, but I didn't know what that meant, so I thought I was gay, and then I was like, well, I mean, you get it. I thought I was a lesbian. Then I was like, that doesn't feel right. I don't like girls like this. What's going on? And then eventually I got here. So, yeah. That's a whole story in and of itself. We don't need to worry about that. Also, being trans, speak on the terms of sexuality, being trans as a trans guy has allowed me to recognize that I'm attracted to masculinity. I'm not attracted to genitalia. And it let me view my sexuality in a new light. Like, I'd be perfectly okay dating a trans guy. I myself am one. But even if I wasn't, I'd be okay dating a trans guy because he's a guy. He's masculine. That's pretty much it. It's not about what your genitals are. It's not about any of that. It's about the person and who they are. And genitals are kind of like weird anyways. So like, not important to me. So yeah. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching this video. Kind of, I don't know what it is. It's a video. Thanks for watching, guys.